State Treasurer John Kennedy is with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen.
So we heard that there was more fiscal bad news. Is this related to oil revenues?
Yes, we got in December numbers. The month prior, we were down about, 12, 13%. We're now down 15%, which, given the fact that they said we would be up 2% at this point, is obviously a 17-point swing. It's related to oil. It's starting to bleed over. The oil price has started to bleed over into sales tax and personal income tax and corporate income tax. Obviously, when people are laid off, they don't pay income tax, and they buy fewer things, so sales tax go down. I've cautioned the legislators, though, to be careful here. They're looking at the state revenues, and obviously that's their job, but there's a reason the state revenues are down. It's because a big portion of the economy sucks right now. So they better be real careful if they're just going to do massive tax increases, not tanking this economy, because they could do it real easily, make it a lot worse. And my experience is that when you throw gasoline on the fire, you make things worse.
Mr. Kennedy, the president in his State of the Union says, fossil fuel energy, petrochem is a bad thing. We need to start moving away from that. It is a huge part of our industry here in Louisiana, and you talk about the price of a barrel being down, less refining, and that translates into sales tax revenues, jobs. What about the state retirement? I mean, do we have a lot of our retirement funds for our state employees invested in petrochem stocks since they are local and we feel like we know them well?
Some, most of the retirement systems that are well run, not all of them are well run, but ones that are well run are very diversified. They're invested in large caps, small caps, mid caps, foreign stocks, alternative investments, equities, bonds. They're well diversified. So the price of oil obviously doesn't help them when the stocks in which they're invested go down, but it's not like if they're all in on Exxon or Chevron, even though Exxon and Chevron are great stocks. You go buy Exxon right now, I think, and if you're willing to be patient for a couple of 3 years, you're going to make a lot of money. But that's not advice. That's just my opinion.
In some of our prior discussions, Mr. Kennedy, when talking about cutting the budget and trimming the fat, you had some interesting ideas. Do you think some of the legislators may be more receptive to some of your ideas on cutting expenditures now?
I think so. And let me just give you one perspective. I want to ask a question of all of our listeners. How many of you out there listening believe that we're one tax increase away from prosperity? That if we just raise taxes a couple of $1 billion, everything will be okay? I don't believe that. We do not have control of our costs, and it's getting worse every day. We're about to add, I think, with 400,000 people to the Medicaid rolls. That's $2 billion a year. And I know the feds have promised to pay all of it. Anybody that believes the federal government always keeps its word obviously failed history class, okay? Ask the Indians about that. There's a way. John Bel wants to do it. The legislature's going along. There's no sense debating it, but there's a way to do it. We need to negotiate some terms. We do not need to give President Obama a blank check and just say we're all in without negotiating some terms. So I understand Sure. Sorry.
I was going to ask you, while you're on this vein, you are a long-term treasurer. You sit on the bond commission. You have to keep your eye on virtually every chunk of change that comes in, and I don't mean to sound trite, but let's just say that the feds do keep their word, that they do toss this $2 billion in. That still doesn't solve the biggest part of our budget problem, does it?
No, it does not. And if you add 400,000 new people to the Medicaid rolls, and we don't have the doctors who take Medicaid to deliver the care, they're going to go to emergency rooms. And taxpayers are going to pay $750 to $1,500 to treat people for acne, and to see if they need eyeglasses, and to give them pregnancy tests. They have not thought this one through. All we got to do is go copy what Arkansas and Pennsylvania and Ohio did. And the governor-elect, in terms of negotiating certain conditions and terms. And Governor Edwards, I'm sorry to say this in his first week in his office, he's making a huge mistake here giving the president a blank check. Yeah, it's going to help us in the next couple of years, and after that, I predict we're going to look up and we're going to be spending not 40% of our money on Medicaid, our budget on Medicaid, which we are now, but 60 or 70%. And if I'm still around, we're going to be on this program talking about why we're having to shut down whole sections of LSU because we don't have any money to keep our flagship going.
Before the end of the last gubernatorial election, before the legislative elections, you predicted on this program that in this special session, with whomever is governor, who's ever sitting on the legislative floor, that they're going to have some tax increases. We've got about a minute left, Mr. Treasurer. Is that still your opinion? It's inevitable?
This is what I do first week. It'll free up about at least $750 million. There are 158 statutorily dedicated slush funds out there. Money's going to the Poke Salad Festival, the Sunflower Festival, to put lights on a street in a small town in North Louisiana. The governor needs to wipe them off the face of the earth. That'll free up $488 million. Number two, send a letter to every one of our consultants, all 19,000, saying I want a 5% discount or I'm firing you. That'll free up at least $250 million and maybe $400 million. We just raised $750 to $900 million without raising taxes. Now, is that going to step on political toes? You better believe it. These slush funds take care of a lot of people's politics. But you can't have it both ways, and we need to stop lying to the people in Louisiana.